Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Dr. Catherine Toomer, family medicine and community health physician and founder of Total Weight Care Institute. And I'm going to talk about how to lose weight without even trying. I know it sounds like a gimmick and it sounds like a scam of some type, but it really does work. And it's how I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 23 years. Um, Now, of course, there's other things I've done, but these are things that have helped really maintain a nice steady weight. And this is something that I tell all of the people I work with, and it works for them. It makes the process a lot easier, and it also makes it less. It makes it you feel like you've got something to do, but it's easy, so you don't get bored, but you get the results you want. But it helps, even if you don't need to lose weight. These are things that are make you feel healthier, have more energy, and it also helps with weight gain prevention because that's also very important. And so the old idea used to be that you exercise more, eat less. Now, the problem with that is it only works when you're young, or it only works temporarily. And the reason it works when you're young and temporarily is because, one, it affects your metabolism. When you're young, you have a high enough metabolism. So when you drop your calories, it doesn't do a lot of damage. However, when you drop your calories so low that you're not getting enough nutrients, particularly protein, then your body goes after muscle for that protein. So if you can't maintain it forever, which most people can't, it's something that has to be maintained for the rest of your life. Otherwise, whatever progress you have is going to go away. And so, what happens when you don't eat enough nutrients, particularly protein, your body goes after muscle. Your muscle is your metabolism powerhouse. So, when you lose muscle in order to give the body the nutrients it needs, what happens eventually is your metabolism slows down to the point where the energy your body produces matches the energy that you're consuming. And so, if you're consuming such a low amount, your energy level drops. And then what happens is that weight will come back, but it comes back in the form of fat. And so what happens is you take a nice fat to muscle ratio, you lose fat and muscle, which shows up as weight loss on a scale. The scale numbers drop. That's not a, that's, they do. But then when it's impossible to maintain, the weight that comes back is in fat. Fat weight is much, much harder to lose. And so that's why if you do it over and over and over again throughout your life, the older you get, the harder and harder and harder it gets to lose the weight. It is to lose weight. And so, um, but I have 9 things that you can do. I know it seems like a lot of things. You can get a pen and paper, write this down, or I'll list it also in my group on Facebook. Um, and it is facebook.com/group/total weight loss. So if you look for that group, this will be in there also. Okay. And you can find it on my page on Facebook as well. So the number one thing, drink. And also I appreciate questions. I really like them, and I will answer them at the end. Um, because so that way I can get through everything that I was going to talk about, and then I'll go back and answer questions and read comments. But thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it very much. And if you watch this later, put in hashtag replay. And if you're here now, just put in where you are and just say hello. So the number one thing that makes so you can lose weight without really trying. Number one is to drink water. Drink a glass of water, about 8 ounces, 8 to 12 ounces, before putting anything else in your mouth. Whether it's a snack, whether it's a piece of gum, whether you're about to drink something else, drink water first. And the reason that is because often what happens, our body mistakes thirst for hunger. It will give off a hunger cue when really you're thirsty. One. Two, inadequate water lends itself to fatigue, inadequate dehydration and fatigue, and inadequate water also affects digestion. So when you drink water, what it does is it helps makes it easier for the body to pull nutrients out of the food that you eat. Those nutrients send signals They signal the brain that you've eaten. It signals other parts of the body that the function that they need them for is going to be efficient. And so that signaling is really important for efficient running of the body. So drinking water helps with that. So drink water before putting anything else in your mouth. Number 2, eat protein and healthy fat, or a healthy fat, preferably both, with every meal and snack. Now, people ask, well, what's a healthy fat? Things that are close to the source, so your body recognizes it for what it is. Any artificial fats like margarines, polyunsaturated fats, those things are our body basically takes them, solidifies them, and puts it into storage. But things like actually even butter in moderation, even unless you have a severe cholesterol issue, but even butter doesn't affect it that much. The other is avocados are wonderful things. That's why adding avocado to anything that you can is really great. But eating protein and healthy fat with every meal and snack does a couple of things. One, protein is a natural appetite suppressant. It also helps protect your body from your body's muscle from being cannibalized, because that's what happens when you don't eat enough protein. Your body goes after your muscle. So it prevents that from happening. The other thing is that it's probably one of the hardest macronutrients to get enough of. We tend to eat enough fat, we tend to eat enough carbs, but when it comes to protein, we have a little more difficulty. So really being intentional with eating protein at every meal and snack helps with that. The other is that when you maintain muscle, you maintain your metabolism, which is highly important in a weight loss process. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading, because I want to make sure I don't miss anything, rather than talk off the top of my head. Always eat a protein or healthy fat first. When putting food in your mouth, it's really important that it is not a carbohydrate. It should be a protein or a healthy fat first. That includes what you drink. So water's fine, but anything else, it should be protein or healthy fat. The reason for that is our body starts breaking down carbohydrates in our mouth. It is the only substance that our saliva starts to digest. And the reason it does that is because it breaks carbohydrates down to glucose. Glucose is the brain's drug. The brain wants to know when its drug is coming so it can start prepping the body for it. The problem is anyone with glucose dysregulation, when the body starts priming itself, the brain starts priming the body to absorb that glucose. Often what happens, that glucose gets turned into fat. And so the key is to get the body starting to focus on something else, so that that absorption of that carbohydrate that comes later is much, much slower. And the process that the body uses then to break down carbohydrates to glucose is more likely to change it to energy rather than to fat, into fuel rather than the fat. And so it does slow down the fat making process of the body when you eat protein and stuff first. Number 4, when eating a carbohydrate, that starches, and the rest, when eating a carbohydrate, what you want to do is kind of visualize your plate or visualize your snack, be big or small. And what you do is you eat, make sure 1/4 of that plate or less is carbohydrates, should be a starch. All the rest should be a protein or a protein healthy fat or protein vegetables. And the reason that is, it can be a small plate, even if it's just a little bit of something, most of it should be something other than a carbohydrate. So if you're eating a cracker should be 1/3 or 1/4 of what it is you're eating. So you can add stuff to it, add cheese, add lunch meat, add avocado, add whatever, so that the cracker's the smallest part of what it is you're about to eat. And you can do that for everything. You can do that for bread. If you want to eat bread, just add and add and add nut butter, cheese, um, lunch meat, lots of vegetables, tomatoes, lettuce, pickles. Of course, you probably wouldn't want to put the nut butter with the lettuce, tomato, pickles, but if you like it. So, but that's how you do it. So you always make sure that the thickness of the bread is 1/4 the thickness of the total. So that's how you eat sandwiches, for example. You eat really, really, really thick sandwiches filled with a whole bunch of stuff so that the bread of the sandwich doesn't cause as much of a problem. Um, Never drink your carbs. It's really hard um, for your body to regulate carbohydrates when it's in liquid form, particularly when it's in sugar form. It is very hard to override the effect of liquid sugar in your body, no matter how much you exercise, no matter how well you eat otherwise. Sugar in liquids gets absorbed so quickly and so easily that your body just takes it. And often it causes a whole lot of problems, not just fat production, but also inflammation as well. And but if you have glucose dysregulation, like insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, it really causes havoc. So if you're somebody who gains weight very easily and has difficulty losing weight, you may have some glucose dysregulation, and therefore sugary drinks are going to cause you a problem. Now, when you start getting into things like wine and beer, it's a little bit different because those are also self care mechanism. People socialize around beer and they socialize around wine. So what you do is you treat the beer and the wine like a carbohydrate, and you make sure that it's 1/4 of whatever it is you're consuming, and that is not the first thing that you're consuming, that it's always something after you've eaten some protein and healthy fat. So you treat drinks that are carbohydrate laden, like beer, like sodas. I'm not sorry, not sodas, like beer, like wine. You treat them like they're potatoes, essentially. And so, um, and so that's how you do that. The other is when you eat a carbohydrate, try to make it as complex and fiber filled as possible. And if you can avoid the refined, like sugar, white rice, white flour, anything made with white flour. If you can avoid those things, the better. So if you have a choice, the ancient grains are better. They're higher in protein, like quinoa, uh, farro, and others. Brown rice has higher fiber than white rice, but it still has a high glycemic index. So it still gets broken down to glucose. So you still want to eat that in moderation as well. It's better than white rice, but it's not necessarily the best grain to eat. The other high fiber food is beans. Now, we hear a lot about, I often get asked, beans say they're full of carbohydrates. Well, the carbohydrates in beans are the type of carbohydrates that are in fiber that cannot be digested, most of it. And so it's actually good carbs. The other is that beans are full of protein. The smaller the bean, the better. So when you have lentils, navy beans, black beans, small red beans, those are they're packed full of protein. And so that little bit of carbohydrates does not outweigh the benefit of the protein, especially since some of that carbohydrates is a form of fiber and your body can't digest it. Seeds and nuts are really good. They're good for fiber, they're good for healthy fats, they're also good for protein. So, again, that's another item that is really good to eat. And if you can, especially for snacking or adding even to salads and the rest. So, number 5 is avoid eating non-fat versions of naturally fatty foods. Now, I'm going to say that again. Avoid eating non-fat versions of naturally fatty foods. So, eating non-fat yogurt, drinking fat-free milk, skim milk, eating fat-free ice cream. Essentially, what that does, it removes the item that helps slow down the blood sugar that results from the rest of the item. And so when you take out the fat, it drives the sugar up by percentage, but also often in those products, more sugars is added in order to maintain the taste. And so if something is naturally fatty, like milk, for example, get the full fat one. If unless it's contraindicated for some other medical reason, if you're trying to lose weight, the best thing to do is to drink the fattiest form of what it is. Number 6, when eating, eat slowly and eat intentionally. Enjoy your food. How you consume your food is how it gets placed in your body. So if you eat your food with enjoyment and with and you savor it, it does well in your body. If you're rushing and you're anxious or you're guilty or you're beating yourself up about eating whatever it is you're putting in your mouth, your body's just going to take it and turn it into fat. Because what you're doing is you're taking excuse me, you're taking your relaxation hormones instead of your excuse me, relaxation hormones. And if you're under stress, then your stress hormones take over. Stress hormones, I've talked about this many times, turn food into fat. The other is when you eat slowly, all your senses are involved. Your taste, your eyes, you're looking at your food, you're hearing the crunch, you smell it, you feel it on your tongue, you feel it when you swallow. It's called umami. There's like this extra sense of fullness in food. When all your senses are being used, your brain gets the message that you're eating. And so it starts preparing the body to let the body know food's coming, but also it prepares the body to listen for the cue that you've eaten and that you're full. So it also affects your appetite. So eating slowly, eating intentionally, eating when not distracted helps with not eating too much. We all know this. If you eat quickly, you just tend to eat more. If you eat slowly, you don't. And so that's a simple thing to do that has nothing to do with dieting, has nothing to do with exercise, that you can do that helps. And then, of course, the more visual the food is, beautiful, the more colorful, if it tastes good, if it crunches, all those things kind of lend themselves to enjoyment of food. So number 7, avoid eating too late. Now, a lot of people say, oh, if you eat late, you gain weight. There's not a direct correlation. The reason that eating late causes weight gain is because it disrupts sleep. And when your sleep is disrupted, the hormones which help in weight loss actually will help with your body's cues are disrupted. So when you don't get enough sleep, there's certain hormones that help your body know when you're full. They drop. And then there's other hormones that tell your body when to eat. And those go up when you don't get enough sleep. So the reason eating late is a problem is only because it disrupts your sleep. What you eat, again, if you go back to the carbohydrates and you go back to the proteins, eating late, if you eat a protein, is not going to cause you a problem in weight gain unless it disrupts your sleep. And that's why eating late, too close to bedtime, can cause an issue. Number 8 is stress control. I think this is one of the most overlooked aspects in a weight loss process. No matter what else you do, if you don't control your stress hormones, it's going to override everything else. Cortisol is a powerful hormone in our body. And it's really, really, really important to always have a plan on how to keep your cortisol levels down. There's no point in testing for it. There's no point of anything else other than just know they're there and you can drop them. You can do it. There's 3 phases of this. There's the immediate, the intermediate, and the long term. For the immediate, what you do is you block the effects of the hormone. There's lots of different ways you can do that. Usually people use medication. There's other things you can do like deep yoga breathing that can bring it down almost immediately. Yoga, Tai Chi, other different things that you can do right at that moment to help bring your hormone levels down. Prayer, journaling, whatever you need to do in order to change the state of mind that you're in. The intermediate is to reduce the reaction of the stressor. Whatever's causing you stress, there's a way to then block how that makes you feel. Usually that takes time, that takes therapy, that takes some self-development, that takes some type of intention over long-term some consistency in order to get to the place where you can do that. You know, we all have been to that, had that person who just got on our nerves, got on our nerves, got on our nerves until we just decided, nope, we're not going to let them get to us anymore. It's that same process, but you can do that intentionally with other things as well. And then long term is you just remove the stressor altogether. Like I've said many times, if you can get rid of what's causing you stress, then you get rid of it. And so sometimes it's losing a friend, a former friend, or changing jobs, or working on a solution to a problem that may take a little while to get there. But that's why it's long term, because once it's done, it's done. That stressor is gone. So number 9 is what I say, check yourself. Essentially, you want to make sure that you're not walking around with something underlying that's making you gain weight or that's making you hold on to weight. One, you hear me talk about this a lot, glucose dysregulation. There's a continuum. You start at the low end, which is pre-diabetes, which is insulin resistance. Then you have pre-diabetes, and then you have diabetes. But along these lines, this can happen for years and years and years without you knowing it. But it makes your body very, very, very efficient at making fat from food. But if you don't know that, if you don't check for it, you don't go to your doctors and get the blood work to get checked, you'll never know you have it. But there are certain symptoms that we have that can kind of give you an indication that might be the case. You're always craving carbohydrates. If you're always craving carbohydrates, you probably have some glucose dysregulation. Now, that glucose dysregulation can be because of genetics. It can be because of cortisol. It can be because of dropping estrogen. It can be because if you're under stress. So basically, if you are always craving carbs, there is something going on. There's a reason, and you need to address that reason. The other, if you're always hungry, and no matter, like, you eat and it doesn't matter when you eat or how you've eaten, you're still hungry, that is glucose dysregulation. The other is that if you're thirsty all the time, that can be diabetes. Or you're always going to the bathroom, you're always urinating. Yeah, that also is an indication that there could be a blood sugar issue going on. The other is psychosocial. So basically, if you have depression, for example, if you're feeling like you have no motivation, you're tired all the time, you have no willpower, no discipline, often it's psychological. But that psychological issue could be something that can be addressed, like anxiety, like depression. But without, it's important then to get tested for these things and to know it's there because you can do something about them. It's not about character. And I'm going to stress that it is not character. Your body reacts to different things, and you can control those things through different activities, by finding different things and correcting them. And sometimes it's a lot easier than you think. And then the other is thyroid. If your thyroid function is low, then you might have unrelenting fatigue, really dry skin, very brittle hair. Those things are related to thyroid issues, and it will also lend itself to weight gain and to holding on to weight. So that's why it's important to always then know these things, because you can be eating really well, you can even be exercising, building muscle, getting all the nutrients, but if you have some underlying medical condition that's going unaddressed, it's going to make it so much harder to get the results you're looking for. And so those are the things. I'm going to post this again in the group on Facebook, and you can find the name of the group on my page, Dr. Catherine Toomer. and I will put it there because I know it's a lot, and not everybody's going to be able to remember them all or write them all down. So I'm going to go back and start reading some of the comments. And so Jennifer says, hello, howdy, y'all. Hey, Jennifer, thank you for coming. Chris, thank you for always being here. Tosan says, what do I am over 40. Whatever I do, am not losing weight. Done water fast, fasted, eat once a day, especially my hands and belly are not going nowhere. Okay. So probably what's happening, if you're fasting, is not the way for you to go because you're not getting enough nutrients. You're already your metabolism is being affected. So I'm assuming that if you're over 40, you've done this probably a few times in your life. And if you've done it a few times in your life, there's a couple things that happen. One, your muscle probably was affected, or two, your brain thought you were starving at some point and says never again. And so every time it happens again, where it starts, you're dropping your calories, your brain thinks you're going into starvation mode again, and it shuts you down, shuts you way down. So the only way to counter that, one, is make sure there's nothing underlying. If you're going through menopause, you want to check that. If you're under a lot of stress, you want to control that. And if you have some diabetes going on, or pre-diabetes or pre-diabetes, you can be treated. GLP-1s work for that too. And so the fact that you have belly, it's around your belly, tells me this is metabolic. And you just have to find out the reason why it's metabolic. And it could be a combination. Like I said, hormones, stress plus hormones, stress plus menopause, and your body metabolism that's just slowed way down. So and I have actually, last week I did my talk, or was the week before last. One of the talks I did in the last 2 weeks was on belly fat and how to get rid of that. So you can go into my YouTube channel at Dr. Toomer, DrToomer, and find that video and watch it. And you say hello from Michigan. Oh, hi. I'm originally from Michigan, Ann Arbor. Grew up in Kenya though, but originally from Ann Arbor. Hello from Henrietta from Jacksonville, Florida. Hey Phyllis, how are you? Watching from Denmark. Phyllis and I went to high school together, secondary school together. So we've known each other a long, long, long time. Won't tell you how long, but we've known each other a long time. Ursula says hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Keisha says, good evening, Dr. Toomer from South Carolina. I'm in South Carolina. Yes, beautiful state. Carolyn, good evening. Bernie Alinsky, good evening. Bernie in Manchester, England. Bernie's another person I went to high school with. So this is nice. It's good seeing some old friends. It's like a high school reunion. Angela is from Aiken, South Carolina, also where I am. So wonderful. Shelly is here. She said she was running a bit late. She's coming in from Australia. Ada Davis says, thank you. Wow. Ada Davis is my great grandmother's name. So actually my great grandmother's name, my mother's grandmother. So Jennifer said, this is so timely. I've lost 95 pounds, now at 198. I've been struggling to lose more, but have been creeping back to 210. Then yo back down. I'm hungrier now than in the past. Okay. So Jennifer, one of the things you also have to realize that if you've lost 95 pounds and you're now at 198, you've lost probably a third of your body weight. So what that means is that your health parameters have really improved, regardless of what your weight is. You have immensely improved your health. And so your body says, I feel so much better than I did before. Why is she still trying to make me do other things when I feel great? So there's a time when you might just sit for a while before your body gets to a point where it resets so that you can then go to your next phase, particularly if you're having some health issues. If you're not having health issues, and depending on your height, your body may just like being there. And it may just stay there for a while. So the key is, when you're going back and forth, don't do anything drastic to try and come down, because what that does is it sets off alarm bells in your brain. And so your brain just stops it from happening. If you're hungrier now than you've ever been before, the best thing to do is check your stress levels first. then make sure, even though you've lost a significant amount of weight and your health parameters are really, really great, that doesn't mean you can't have diabetes. So you want to check for that too. But usually when you're really, really hungry, it's either you're not getting enough nutrients or the wrong nutrients, or your body's reacting to blood sugar. And the reason it reacts to blood sugar is either underlying medical condition or stress. Jessica says hi. Hi, Jessica from New York. Welcome. Jennifer said the garden is producing lots of sweet corn. Catch 22. Yes, I miss fresh sweet corn and struggle or enjoy it for now. So this, continuous glucose monitoring will show up as the corn. I mean, think of it, fructose or corn syrup. I mean, we use corn to sweeten things. So the key is make sure the corn is part of something else. Don't eat it by itself. Make sure that it's a smaller part of a larger meal. And that's the way you handle eating corn. Hassan says, you drink water first thing in the morning, eat protein, especially avocado. Avocado is more of a healthy fat, but yes, it's also protein too. Make sure you eat protein, healthy fat first after water in the morning. Eat less carbohydrates, drink water. Fiber like beans. Okay, so you're just writing down everything that I said. Great. That's it. Summed up, essentially. Hello, Henrietta. Can someone with hyperthyroidism use drugs like Wegovy? Yes. However, when you have hyperthyroidism, usually your metabolism is so fast that you lose weight anyway. So unless your hyperthyroidism has been treated to the point where your thyroid now is no longer working. If that's the case, you're not hyperthyroid anymore, you're hypothyroid. And yes, you can. The reports of thyroid cancer is a very, very rare cancer, and it has never been seen in humans, only in rats. And even that was rare. So yeah, you can have thyroid conditions and still use a GLP-1 like Wegovy. Pamela says, hi from Huntsville, Alabama. Great to see you. So Tucson asked to where you can pin down, where you can go to see all that I talk about. YouTube. I have a YouTube channel and I have a Facebook group where all of this goes. So, but my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@DrToomer, DrToomer, and also blackdoctor.org. I do since February, March, I've been doing them weekly also, blackdoctor.org, both on Facebook and on YouTube. Belinda says, be safe, y'all in South Carolina. Yeah, we're having some storms, but otherwise pretty good. Shelly says Musangari reunion. Yes, Musangari, Loreto Convent Musangari is our high school that we went to in Nairobi, and there's several of us that are here. So that's nice. I really appreciate your support, guys. Bernie says, my doctor told me that I am in the queue for diabetes, but I am struggling to lose weight. Thank you. This is very important. If you're on the verge of becoming diabetic, then GLP-1 is ideal. It will help you lose weight and it will get it under control and prevent you from getting worse. I just found out about some new side effects of Ozempic blindness. Okay, so the blindness that happens from Ozempic is so rare. And there are other medications that we take all the time that their side effects are just as severe and are more common. The blindness is not subtle. It is extremely rare, and it's more rare than liver failure from Tylenol. And we don't hesitate to take Tylenol. The blindness from Ozempic is more rare than most of the dangerous side effects of any other medications on the market. So there's no reason to be frightened by it. And the truth is, the reason why, and I'm just going to step on my soapbox for a minute here. The reason all of these crazy, scary side effects are being reported are because it's people's fat phobia being superimposed on the medication. And so they're scaring people away from the medication. Now, if you go and read the side effects of Viagra, for example, blindness, heart attack, death, stroke. I mean, these are known and not so uncommon side effects of taking Viagra, an erectile dysfunction medication. We don't get report after report after report after report after report of all the side effects that it. And the reason is because it's not sensational. It doesn't make anybody money to report it. Nobody's getting paid based on clickbait. But as soon as you mention weight loss, you mention a weight loss drug, everyone clicks on it, and that person gets paid for it. So be very, very skeptical of these sensationalized reports coming out about anything related to weight medications, because again, a lot of it is being fueled by prejudice. Okay, so we got a spammer in here. So we're gonna get rid of all of these. Delete comment. Delete comment. So let me see here. I'm just going, someone's got is spamming us, so I'm just deleting the comments right now. Wow, they went through and just did a whole bunch of them. Okay. Last one. Okay, Jade. I just found out about some new, okay, that's the thing. There is a maximum strength of time one shouldn't stay on Zepbound. No, Zepbound is a lifelong medication. It is designed for diabetics. Zepbound is the weight loss version of Mounjaro, which is a diabetes medication. These medications are designed to be on lifelong. If you have a genetic component, which is what glucose dysregulation is. So these medications only work if there's glucose dysregulation. Like I said before, if you take Tylenol for a headache you don't have, it doesn't do anything. The same thing with these medications. The only reason they afford weight loss is a side effect of it fixing a metabolic process. And so that metabolic process may or may not go away with weight loss. If it doesn't go away, you can stay on the medicine forever. There are also maintenance doses. So you may not stay on the same amount. You may not take it as frequently in your maintenance phase, but you may have to take it for life. Diabetics expect to take it for life. And that's it's safe to do that. In fact, the lifelong benefits from the medication are much, much, much better than having diabetes, than having glucose dysregulation. We know the dangers of having glucose dysregulation, one of them being obesity. And then when you have obesity, you have so many your weight-bearing joints suddenly start having a problem. You start having problems with increased rates of cancer, increased rates of heart disease, increased rates of all sorts of other diseases. So it makes more sense to take a medication to bring that obesity down. So that way, you survive. Okay. Oh gosh, we have a spammer in here who just won't stop putting comments. I'll just go through and delete them as I can, because I hope there's stuff under there. I can't see it because this is just being and I'll have to go in and block the person from Facebook. I can't do it right this second. Okay, so let's see if there's any more. Okay, so if there are no more questions, then thank you so much for coming. And I'm going to go in and block this person who keeps putting these comments to check whoever they're asking me to look for. And if you have other topics that you'd like me to speak on, you can always leave them here in the comments. You can write to me on YouTube. I read my comments in YouTube. Anyone who writes to me and asks me questions knows this. I answer them. And then also you can find me in my group as well. It's a good place to ask questions. So, all right. So if you have no more questions, I really appreciate you all coming from all over. Wait, yeah, they have been sending everyone messages to go somewhere else. I don't understand. That's maybe from emails, but I don't know what that means. Okay, Tosan. Shelly says, thank you very much. Always great info for me. Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. And again, if you have other things that you'd like me to speak on, just let me know. The scam. Oh, yes. That's why I'm going to block. I understand. Yeah, don't click on any of the links of someone telling you to um check somebody else, because basically what they are is they're fishing expeditions, and they could disrupt your get access to your computers. So I will go in and block that person so you don't have to worry about it. All right. Well, everyone, good night. I will see you. And again, ask me questions, come into the group. I love to teach, as you can tell. So any information that you'd like me to speak on, let me know. All right. Well, good night, and I appreciate you all coming.